Hey everyone, welcome back to FSi DFS, breaking down the 9-game night slate here on Wednesday, June 5th. The 6-game early slate, there's a separate video out for that one, so go ahead and check that out. We have quite a bit of time until lock over there. But for now, 9-game night slate. Pay attention to the weather in Cleveland, pay attention to the weather in Pittsburgh. It's not looking too great, but Maybe they'll be able to squeeze some games in there, but always pay attention to the possibility of a delay happening, earlier on in the game, especially with the pitchers, because if they get taken out, they're not going back in and your night's done. Also want to note that the Wrigley winds are blowing out. Nothing massive. It's not 20-mile-an-hour winds or anything. However, they could approach double-digit wind speeds. Blowing out, we all know what the ball does in Wrigley. So let's just kind of dive right in here, up in the high salary. There's not too many guys that are super overpriced. Nobody's really overpriced, I guess, on this slate. So only Cease, Gilbert, and Singer over 9K. Singer I don't have a whole lot of interest in, just facing off against Cleveland. Cleveland, very low strikeout team, really solid offense. They are far and away blowing out all expectations that people had for them this season. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of interest in Singer. So if I was going to be paying up, I would 100 times out of 100, maybe not that much because it's DFS, you got to play the ownerships, but still, Gilbert only 200 more in a much better matchup in a much better ballpark, facing off against Oakland with better strikeout upside. All the things are going in Gilbert's favor over Singer. So I'm going to take Gilbert over there at 9.2K, but Dylan Cease facing off against the Angels. We know what his ceiling capabilities are. He's going to be your SP1 on the entire slate. It wouldn't really shock me if Gilbert's going to be your SP2, especially in cash games, just jamming in these two top guys, because there's not a whole lot of salary constriction. There's a lot of cheap, affordable teams. Detroit, Chicago, Miami, these are all very, very affordable lineups with a lot of value in them who are in nice spots here. But even like top teams like Texas and the Cubs, the Cubs don't have anybody above 5,000 in terms of salary, and Texas only has Seager, Semien, and Garcia. I think they're the only three above like 4.4K. So salary's not going to be too much of an issue. I really think that you can jam in Cease and Gilbert and then just take the floor with them. If you do want to go a little bit cheaper, we'll talk about that here in a moment. But let's go into the mid-tier. Paul Skeens. Over-under on his strikeout prop is at 7.5. He's facing off against the Dodgers. Forget DFS. This is going to be a game that you want to be paying attention to. This is a matchup that I am super excited to watch, to pay attention to, and I really hope it does not get rained out. I could see Skeens going out there and absolutely lighting up the Dodgers. I've mentioned how the Dodgers, along kind of with the Braves, they have these elite juggernaut offenses, but for some reason, it's just not. It's not all coming together. The Dodgers have let us down time and time throughout the course of the season, and it's baseball. You're not going to be an elite offense all 162 nights of the year, but they're far more of a letdown than we were all expecting. So it wouldn't shock me if Skeens goes out there and absolutely dominates and puts up 20 to 25 DK points. Because like I said, his over-under on his strikeout prop is at 7.5. But at the same time, I can see Skeens going out there and really struggling against this Dodgers lineup. They are just full of power. And let's see who Skeens has even played. He's played the Cubs twice, and we know that their offense has really just taken a big hit over the past few weeks. Past month, I don't know, it's been a while. But the Cubs have really been struggling. The San Francisco offense, who they have just been mutilated by injuries to, their top guys. And then Detroit, another offense that isn't screaming juggernaut. So this is Skeens' first real true test. So while I can fully see him going out and shutting down the Dodgers, at the same time, I could really see the Dodgers getting after Paul Skeens, and it makes the Dodgers a really intriguing GPP play, in my opinion, in that regard. Below Skeens, I think it's pretty close between Rodon and Berrios. I wasn't really sure who I wanted to put where. I'm going to go with Rodon, just a little bit better of a floor, a little bit of a better strikeout upside capability, but Berrios is fine. I'm not going to be putting him into my first 5 to even 10 lineups. He's facing off against Baltimore, and really playing anybody against Baltimore just is a little bit concerning. Taillon and Fedde, pay attention to the wind in Wrigley. If it really is going to be indeed blowing out at 10 to maybe even 15 miles an hour, no interest in these guys. But if it doesn't appear to be too much of an issue, I guess I could have a little bit of interest just because of how bad, the Chicago offense has been struggling. And the White Sox are the White Sox. However, they do got Robert back. So a little boost to their lineup there. But regardless, I think those two, comparatively to the rest of the mid-tier, kind of fall a little bit down below. Over into the cheap salary, Estes and Garrett and maybe even Allen you can throw in there is kind of like the trio. I feel like that's like your main 3, and then there's like a big gap, and then Soriano and Suarez kind of rounding things out. But Estes for Oakland, he's consistent, and he has a strikeout prop at 5.5. That's pretty solid. That's higher than Berrios has. That's higher than Rodon has. And Estes is only 6.4K, facing off against the highest strikeout rate team in the entire league. Seattle is a division leader. I know the AL West is not what we were expecting it to be, with Texas and Houston really, really struggling. But Seattle, they have an over 500 record. They're a division leader. Like, it's a strong offense. You're really mainly just targeting strikeouts and hoping to get 4, 5, maybe even 6 strikeouts from Estes here. At 6.4K, he's not really going to be burning you, and if you do put him into your lineups with a top tier pitcher like Cease or Gilbert, you're looking at 4.2K remaining for the rest of your bats. You're going to be able to jam in as many Yankee bats as you want to, because the Yankees they're going to be my favorite stack on the day, or my favorite team on the day, facing off against Maeda. But they have a lot of expensive bats. They got multiple guys priced over 6K, whereas like teams like Texas and Chicago, and they don't. None of them do. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to jam in the Yankees top stack if you do go with Cease and Gilbert. But Estes, again, you're just trying to target that strikeout upside, facing off against a high strikeout team. Garrett facing off against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay offense, just not what we were expecting, and I think Garrett certainly has the quote-unquote stuff to be really successful here. And then comparatively, mainly to the rest of the other pitchers that are in this price tag or even a little bit cheaper, I'm going to have a lot more interest in Garrett. However, strikeout upside, chasing strikeouts, salary coming into play, I'll put Estes a little bit above Garrett. And then Logan Allen, it looks like he's going to be pitching long relief. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. Does this mean that he's going to pitch one less inning than normal? I don't know. If so, pay attention. I don't know if any news is going to be coming out here, which is kind of more of it's up in the air, and I don't really want to commit to it. Yeah, I think that's kind of it with Allen. Everybody else, just no interest, really, over here. Paxton can't strike out anybody for the life of him. Paddock, nope. Urena, nope. F1, maybe pitch count. He was on the IL. It was short-term IL. He wasn't out very long at all. I think he only missed 1 or 2 starts. I think it was 2 starts. But he might be on a pitch count. He did throw a bullpen session. He pitched, I think, 40 pitches in that bullpen session. So I feel like he's going to be stretched out, but again, even when he was fully stretched out, he plays for Tampa Bay, and they yank their pitchers after 85 pitches anyways. So I don't know. It could be Miami getting to that Tampa Bay bullpen, which has been atrocious here, a little bit sooner rather than later, which does make me have a little bit more interest in these Miami bats, just because of how affordable they are and just because of how bad that Tampa Bay bullpen has been. So going into the bats, top stack is going to be the Yankees for me. Let me pull them up here. You can quickly see these guys are a lot more expensive, with Judge and Soto both over 6K, even Stanton at 5.1K. They have their numbers, though, against right-handed pitching are through the roof. This is just a phenomenal team. They have cheaper lefty bats to complement the power bats up top as well. So I think the Yankees are going to do very well here tonight. It's just a matter of salary constraints and can you fit them in. Verdugo is probably going to be my favorite cheaper play for the Yankees here, but still, even he at 4.3K isn't like super cheap. After the Yankees, I'm going to go with Texas. Texas is a little bit more affordable, but here we go. Facing off against Maeda. Seager, I mean, do we want to say he might be one of the best players on the board here tonight at 5.7K? Like, he is absolutely tearing the cover off of the ball here recently after a really sluggish, slow start to the season. He seems to have finally found the groove, and he is smashing right now. So he's got a nice lefty-righty matchup against Maeda. Maeda's strikeout rate is anemic. He can't strike anybody out, so yeah, like that there. Evan Carter, he just went on the IL. Young looks great after resuming hitting. Clear to hit Tuesday. I don't know when Young's going to be back. But if he's going to be maybe in, I don't think he's going to be in tonight. I don't think he's going to be in tonight. Who knows? Maybe. But Seager definitely is going to be your top option there. But like Lowe, Langford's back. Josh Smith, he's been hitting the ball very well as of late. So a nice lefty-righty matchup there. But again, lefty-righties, I don't care against Maeda. I'm going to have interest in bats all around. Cleveland, they've just been doing very well. Just pay attention to the rain in that game. As far as GPP, going to go with the Cubs. This is more so dependent on the weather. I might bump the Cubs down a little bit throughout the day as we get a little bit closer. If it appears that the winds aren't too, impactful, couldn't think of the word there, then I'm probably going to bump them down a bit on my list just because the Cubs offense has really been struggling. Like, they just haven't seemed to put it together here over the past few weeks, which has seen their salaries drop. Like, they are very affordable. I mentioned earlier on in the video, they don't have anybody priced over 5K. I think Bellinger might be 5K, but that's it. Yeah, Bellinger's 5K, nobody else is. So very affordable up and down the lineup. I mean, you got guys like Happ and Talkman and like all these nice lefty power bats. Bellinger, obviously, who can certainly do some damage. So again, pay attention to the wins. That's really the main reason why I would have this. And also because the Cubs, like, they have shown us throughout the course of the year, they do have some pop in their bats. They can do it. They can steal bases and get there. But it's GPP for a reason. Dodgers, right behind them, elite offense, but facing off against Skeens. And this is going to be Skeens' like first true, real, like MLB elite offensive test. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there with the Dodgers. And I actually put Pittsburgh right behind them. Facing off against Paxton. Paxton can't strike anybody out. I mentioned how Maeda's strikeout rate is pretty anemic. Paxton, he's probably even worse. Let me see. What is Paxton's, I don't have his exact percentage. 31 strikeouts in 52 innings pitched. That is horrendous. So Pittsburgh is certainly going to be an intriguing play here. Yeah, Paxton doesn't have any more than 4 strikeouts. And then, first start, he had 5. He maxed out and he's like, I'm done. So I think that Pittsburgh could be really interesting. But as far as like the cheap plays, there are a lot of teams in cheap. I almost put Pittsburgh over in the cheap, and I almost wanted to put Chicago Cubs over into the cheap because they have nobody over 5K. I almost put Minnesota over into the cheap because there is a lot of value that you can be having. So I don't think you have to go way down here into the cheap mode. I think you can just jam in Cease, jam in Gilbert in your cash games. Obviously get different everywhere else. But if you do want to go with cheap, from a floor perspective, I almost prefer Garrett over Estes. But I don't want to say in a DFS perspective because, I mean, you got to think about floor and upside and everything. But I think that the Estes can get, that 5 strikeouts and comparative to his salary can do well. I just think that there is a chance that he could get burned a little bit more so than Garrett. So hopefully this is able to just kind of steer you in the right direction. Cole Keith, random name that just popped into my mind, is like a cheap option for Detroit. Super high prospect for them. But hopefully this is able to steer you in the right direction. Good luck as always in your contest. Please hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers. And it really does help us out and in terms of getting these videos back out to you. So good luck as always. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. If you haven't noticed, if there's 4 or fewer games on a slate, we don't do a video for it. So I haven't looked at Thursday's schedule yet. Typically, they've been splitting the Thursday slate, so you'd have like a 3-game early and a 3-game late. If it's 4 or less, we're not doing videos. So if that's the case, we'll see you on Friday. But if there's a 5-game or more slate on Thursday, we'll be back tomorrow. See ya.